am Barrister Festus Onifade, the coordinator of Multi-Door Consumer Advocacy Initiative, the NGO that is responsible for bringing this Consumer Watch show to you weekly. The topic of discussion is to review all the topics we had in this quarter. And the first topic we had in this quarter was electricity tariff and billing dispute. We discussed extensively electricity tariff and the billing dispute that are common in Nigeria at this time. And one of the uncommon, or one of the practice that we notice is unmetered customers that are being charged with what we call estimated billing. Yes, Barrister Dan is in the house. We'll be providing further insights as we review this topic together. If you are also being a victim of estimated billings, what you call sometimes outrageous estimated billings, the ones that are unfounded, join us in this conversation. Barrister Dan, I know that there's what we call electricity capping regulation that caps the estimated billing people in a geopolitical zone or in certain area should be charged on. Please, can you give us further insight on this? I know some of our listeners would listen to that episode, some may have forgotten. The fact that you are unmetered do not mean that the discos, in this case AEDC, can just give you any bill they want. Yeah, so can you give us an insight on this?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for this program, Barrister Festus. Concerning the question at hand, I would like to say that in order to protect consumers, the National Electricity Regulatory Commission issued an order known as Order Number NERC/197/2020, and the order is titled Order on the Capping of Estimated Bills in the Nigerian Electricity Supply Industry. This order is to protect consumers who are unmetered, most likely in the rural to semi-urban areas, who don't have access to meters as of yet.
Prepaid
meters. So because what happens usually is NEPA, before it became AEDC, was you might probably not have lights for weeks and they just come and give you
a light for just 24 hours prior to when the bill is
that has caused so many.
That's the attitude.
Yeah, that's so many altercations have happened between these officials and owners of
and in fact, you see so many reports on social media of where people will tell any of these officials, as you climb down pole, don't come down. If you come down, dog they there will go. Or you see them close their gate. Serious fight.
Serious fight. Because of most times the billing is not commensurate to the service delivered.
Provided.
You can imagine someone not having light for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they're coming to tell you to pay 10, 15, 20,000, and you've not used up to that amount. So that is on the aspect of the billing dispute. It has caused a lot of issues. But I think in the wisdom of the commission, they said, okay, let us go prepaid. But still on that issue, there are still some areas that are unmetered. So they issued this regulation to protect those consumers that are unmetered, so that they don't feel left behind. And
what is the yardstick for measurement in an unmetered environment?
In an unmetered environment, the yardstick is average vending.
Average utilization for that period.
Yes, average utilization.
So we are talking about, take for example, this month of November, a customer that have not supply for better part of this month. You cannot give him a bill that presupposes like he has been using electricity for the beginning of the month. So it is the average supply for that month that will determine the amount he will be charged. Thank you very much.
That's what the order is, so that people that, for instance, let me just give this example so people can understand it properly. A consumer that lives in Kubwa cannot be charged the same way a consumer that lives who is in Gwarimpa lives and is on prepaid meter will not be charged the same.
Okay.
Yes, it must be within the same vicinity. So someone that is unmetered in Kubwa has to be charged the same way prepaid consumers who are on prepaid meters will be charged.
Very well.
So the commission issued this to protect unmetered consumers.
Yes. Yes. Remember, we talked about food safety and understanding GMOs and food adulteration. That was the second topic we talked about. And there we say, genetically modified food, are they healthy for us in this part of the world? Are they healthy?
In this part of the world, just like advanced countries, there's an agency that is charged
that is responsible.
Yes, that is responsible for ensuring that these genetically modified organisms of food are not harmful to human health, just like in advanced countries. So the question is that agency doing enough to protect Nigerians?
Okay, and that agency is National Biosafety
Management Agency.
Very well, yeah.
Which was established by the National Biosafety Management Agency Act of 2015.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So it's a fairly new agency.
Yes, a fairly new agency.
Yeah. So as we talked about some of the genetically modified food, like banana, you see banana that looks very big and attractive.
Yes.
See very big mangoes, very big orange. So my concern is, are they healthy for consumption?
Well, I would just want to say genetically modified organic foods are not totally bad, as long as they are properly
passed through the test.
They pass through the test. They are not totally bad. But now, most times there's always this in regulation. So sometimes you see this thing escaping to the market, which now in turn harm consumers. Just like you alluded, sometimes it's mostly always plantain. You can see some plantain that are not. It looks very, very healthy, but by the time you eat it, it has carbon inside sometimes. So this agency has to do more to protect Nigerian consumers.
Yes.
To protect
so I mean, talking about carbon and food adulteration, you recall when we dealt with the food adulteration in itself is not necessarily food poisoning. But the definition of food adulteration is when somebody is buying, take for example, if I'm buying a bread that is sold to me as a non-bromate bread, whereas it's a bromate bread, that's an adulteration in itself, because I am paying for the price of a full floured bread that is non-bromate.
Well, you're getting
I'm getting a bread that's bromate bread at the price of non-bromate bread. So that is itself in the definition of adulteration.
Yes.
And so also recall when we talked about that food adulteration here in the studio, we looked at oil.
Yes.
And how people use certain chemicals, red chemical, to adulterate palm oil, and those palm oil are there in our market. People are consuming it unknowingly, and so this calls for serious, particularly from the regulatory authority, NAFDAC, SOA, all these authorities that have responsibility of checking. And we are now talking about going into the markets, real marketplace, where people are. Who is in Wuse market? Who is in Gariki market? Who is in Oshodi market? Who is in Mushi market? Who is in area 1 or area 2 shopping center market? That is checking the inflow and outflow of goods and services and making sure that the goods and services in those markets are fit for human consumption. That's exactly what we are talking about.
When we had this conversation, there was the case of the week which had to do with Fijabi versus Nigerian Bottling Company and NAFDAC, where the court said was the issue of the benzoic acid in its obiter said this in other clients this is not fit for consumption. So why does the regulator NAFDAC allow such thing to allow such acid to still be put into this Coke, Fanta, and Sprite? So in that case, the plaintiff got judgment against the Nigerian Bottling Company and NAFDAC So just to allude to what you're saying, the regulators need to do more in order to ensure that the food that it goes to the market is properly checked and is fit for purpose.
For consumption.
Just to state further on the National Biosafety Management Agency, by the provisions of Section 35, which, if with your kind permission, I would like to read.
No, please go ahead.
Any person, institution or body who imports, exports, transmits or otherwise carries out the activity of contained use or commercial release of any genetically modified organisms without prior approval or permit of the agency, or contravenes the grant of an approval or permit under this act, commits an offence and shall be liable on conviction to, in the case of an individual, 2.5 million.
Wow.
Or imprisonment for a term of no less than 5 years, or both. And in the case of a body corporate, it goes further to state that it will be on conviction, it will be liable to a fine of no less than 5 million, and not in further, the directors or officers of that company shall be liable to a fine of no less than 2.5 million each, or imprisonment for a term of no less than 5 years. So the act has a penalty for people that breach certain, especially because genetically modified organisms or food are very dangerous if it's not properly checked. So, and if you don't the right way, you face penalty if you are found culpable. So I would just want to add that the National Biosafety Management Agency should do more public enlightenment, because most consumers are not aware of certain and also, just like you alluded before, on the issue of the bromate bread and non-bromate bread, there's no enough awareness, and there's no enough this, when you want to buy a good, it should be stated on it that this is the genetically modified product.
Yes.
So you can easily make a choice. Okay, do I want to go for
right
this?
to information?
Yes, right. Do I want to go for this subject? But they just put it and they sell it at the same price. So you unknowingly buy a genetically modified food or
for the price
of the normal one. By the time you now consume it, you will now notice changes which you are not used to, because of there was no clear information, there was no clear distinction between a genetically modified food or the other one.
Yes, I like the fact that Barrister Dan, I like the fact that you on this program Consumer Watch, time and time again we have talked about consumers' right to information. Whatever you are buying, you have the right to know the extent of the risk you are taking by virtue of your choice. If I am buying a bread, let me know that I'm buying a bromate bread. So I am taking that decision or making my choice based on the right information. If I'm buying a flour bread, let me know that I'm buying a flour bread, and let me know that I am taking that decision based on the choice I've made. Where consumers are deceived, you take article A or goods A in the illusion that you are buying article B or goods B. That's where we have problem.
Yes.
And just to agree with you, our regulatory authorities must do more. And if you look at all these issues we have raised, most of the issues we have raised boils down to the regulatory authorities. It boils down to the regulatory authorities. When we talked about banking charges, which we are still going to review, maybe we could just talk about it right away. Banking charges, we saw that CBN are not doing enough. We saw that on one single transaction, a customer is liable to several charges just on one single transaction. That transaction is liable to what you call bank maintenance charge. That same bank maintenance charge is VATed. There is VAT on it. That same transaction, it is also believed that the consumer or the customer is also paying what we call 0.2 security levy. Yes. If it's not within the same amount, you also pay what we call electronic transfer levy. So you can see the issue of multiple charges on just one transaction, and yet the consumer is not well abreast with all this information. And when we're talking about that topic, we say CBN should put all the charges in both prints in banks. So if you enter a bank, say bank A, you know that this transaction that I'm doing is liable to discharge and discharge and discharge. And so the customer can make up his mind whether or not to go ahead with the transaction. This is very, very important.
Yes.
And consumers have right to know. CBN must wake up to its responsibility. Barrister Dan, we also talked about tenancy right and housing dispute. The right of a tenant, the responsibility of the landlord.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you again, Barrister Festus. Based on antecedents, based on things that have happened, at some point when you're a tenant, you want to get your own house because of things that might or might not have happened to you in the course of your stay.
Yes,
as
a tenant.
As a tenant. So I just want to say that tenants are protected under the law. They are protected under the law because of frowns against landlords using
arbitrary use of power, self-help.
Yes. But the law is not one-sided. The law tries to balance out so that everybody's interest is protected. As much as the tenants are protected, the landlord is also protected in certain respects. So the law balances each person's rights because of you cannot say because of you're a tenant you will not leave the property of someone else. So you have to always make sure that, like I said, the law balances each person's rights. So what I just want to say is some of the rights of a tenant are: 1, rights to peaceful enjoyment, rights to privacy.
Oh, right to peaceful enjoyment.
Of the property.
Of the property that you are renting.
You've rented.
Yes, sir.
Rights to habitable space, rights to having a habitable place. You cannot pay for something and the place is not habitable. Is wrong. The tenant has breached the contract. The landlord has breached the contract.
Okay. So quickly, because our time is already fast spent going and we still have a lot to talk about. My sign here is a tenant that has not paid his rent. Yes. And the landlord has taken him to court. Within that period of litigation, is the landlord entitled to pay? Is he entitled to his money?
Yes, there's a term in law which is called men's profits. That men's profit, I'll just break it down. It means that for the period of time where that tenant was occupying your premises, which the tenant prevented you from using, the law would award that amount to you.
Yeah.
If the landlord is successful in court.
Wow.
So yes, that is called men's profit. So the landlord should not be worried. He should just stay on and ensure that he gets justice.
His money.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So briefly, before we go on this, is also let's talk about are the landlord are they permitted to resort to self-help? And the court is getting so slow. The court is dragging. The money is not coming quickly. Can the landlord remove the roof? Can he cut his electricity? Can he cut his water? Or put chippings at the gate so that he will say, I want to renovate my house. I'll bring two loads of chipping and put in at the gate. The man cannot drive in or drive out of the premises. These are things that happen. So can the landlord do that? Because the court will take time.
Yes, the court will take time. Yes. These are things that happen every day, even as we speak. These are things that happen. But the landlord cannot do that. He cannot do that. The moment he tries it, the tenant can sue him and get damages for compensation.
So